Ma'am, shall I start, ma'am? A pleasant evening to all. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's session. Let us begin this auspicious occasion by invoking the blessings of the Almighty with a prayer song.
Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes and let me see beauty that made this heart adore you. Hope of a life spent with you. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow. Here I am to say that you're mine. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me.
This event highlights the importance of research, innovation, and knowledge sharing, which are essential for academic growth and learning community development. Now, I would like to invite our respected faculty member, Dr. Sister Bindu Anthony, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of Commerce, Fatima College, to deliver the welcome address.
Good evening, everyone present here. Respected Reverend Sister Ignatius Mary, the Secretary of Fatima College, Reverend Dr. Sister Fatima Mary, the Principal, distinguished resource persons, Ms. Jerome R., Assistant Professor, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Dr. Rosalind Mary, Head and Associate Professor, Research Department of Commerce, eminent staff members of the Research Department of Commerce, participants from various colleges, and mighty students, a very warm welcome to everyone present here virtually. It is my great pleasure to welcome Ms. Jerome R., Assistant Professor, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, She is an accomplished academician and passionate educator in the field of computer science. With outstanding academic credentials, including UGC NET qualification, a strong research orientation, and a rich teaching experience across deputed institutions. She brings with her a blend of knowledge, innovation, and commitment to student development. Her expertise in emerging technologies, data analytics, artificial intelligence, and personalized learning system reflects her forward-thinking approach to education. Beyond the classroom, her leadership roles, publications, and community outreach projects showcase her dedication to holistic academic excellence. We are truly honored to have her with us today and look forward to the valuable insights and inspirations she'll share. So, dear students, please join me in giving Miss Jerome R a warm and enthusiastic welcome. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you
I
so much.
take
Welcome, ma'am.
I take this opportunity to thank and congratulate the organizing team, the staff members of the Research Department of Commerce, and enthusiastic students. And I wish all of them all the best and God's blessings. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sister, for your warm and welcoming words. It is now my honor to welcome our esteemed resource person, Ms. Jerome R., Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, with specialization in cybersecurity, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, to present on a title Ethics in Research. We are privileged to have you with us today on behalf of PG and Research Department of Commerce and LKP Academy. I extend a heartfelt welcome to you, ma'am. I request you to take over the session, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a warm welcome. I think my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, thank you. So, good evening, everyone. My special welcome and good evening to all the respected faculty members, esteemed research scholars, dear students, and distinguished participants. It is truly an honor and privilege to be here today and speak on a subject that lies at the very heart of academic life, scientific progress, and intellectual responsibility, and that is research ethics. So, when we think of research, we often imagine innovation, discovery, groundbreaking ideas, and technological advancement. So we think of laboratories, conferences, publication, citation, patents, and recognition. But today, I invite you to pause and reflect on something very deeper. See, behind every research paper, behind every experiment, behind every published result, there is a human decision. And that decision determines whether science advances with dignity or collapses with dishonesty. So, let me begin with a simple but powerful thought experiment. Imagine you are conducting an important research project. So you have worked tirelessly for 6 months. You have sacrificed your weekends. You stayed late in the lab. You read countless research papers. You ran multiple trials. You invested your time, actually, your energy, and perhaps even your emotions into this work. Now, the submission deadline is approaching. So, your results are not aligning with your hypothesis. The expected outcome did not appear. Your finding depends on success, and your supervisor expects positive findings. Your academic reputation may depend on this paper. So, and in that quiet moment, Alone with your data, a silent question arises. Should I slightly modify the data so that it looks acceptable? So, just a small adjustment, just removing one outlier, just refining one number, just presenting it differently. No one may know, no one may detect, the software may not even catch it, the reviewers may not even notice it, but you will know. And that moment, that single silent moment, defines whether you are truly a researcher or merely a data producer. Because research is not just about generating results, research is about generating truth, the facts. So, research is not about innovation, it's about maintaining the integrity. It's not about publishing papers, so it's about protecting the knowledge. So today we are not merely discussing rules, regulations, or institutional requirements. So we are discussing character, we are discussing responsibility, we are going to discuss the moral foundation of science. So, why do you think this is so important? Because research shapes policies, research influences medical treatments, it determines technological development, it impacts educational systems, it guides national decisions. So, in this session, we will deeply and thoughtfully explore several dimensions of research ethics. So, we will begin by understanding the philosophical meaning of ethics, not just as a definition, but as a way of thinking and living. So, we will examine why research ethics is critical, not only for institutions, but for society as a whole. So, we will carefully analyze the core ethical principles that guide responsible research conduct, like honesty, objectivity, integrity, accountability, and respect. So we will understand the peer review process and the ethical responsibility of reviewers too. Okay, so moving on to the session, what does ethics means? So now let us begin by understanding a very fundamental question: what does actually ethics means? So ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with morals, with the concepts of rights and wrong, good and bad, fairness and injustice. But this definition, though simple, it is very powerful. So ethics is not just about rules written in books, it is about how we choose to act when faced with moral decisions. It asks questions like, what should I do? Is this action fair? Does this action harm someone? Am I being truthful? Am I respecting others? So, these sort of questions pop into our mind when ethics actually fall into place. So, ethics guides human behavior. It actually shapes our character, it defines our professional identity. When we say ethics deals with right and wrong, we are not only referring to the legal standards. Something can be legal but still unethical. Ethics goes beyond law, it actually deals with moral responsibility. For example, it may not always be illegal to withhold certain data, but it may be unethical. It may not always lead to punishment if you slightly manipulate results, but it is morally wrong. So, ethics therefore acts as an internal compass guiding our decisions even when external monitoring is absent. So, ethics is actually clearly defined as the principles and guidelines that help us uphold the values we believe in. See, each of us values certain things like truth, fairness, respect, responsibility, justice, and honesty. So, ethical principles help us protect and practice these values consistently. So, without ethical principles or values, there's nothing called as research. See, for instance, if we say we value truth, ethic requires us to report data honestly. And if we say we value fairness, ethics requires us to give proper authorship credit. And if we say we value respect, ethics requires us to protect participant confidentiality. So thus ethics is the bridge between what we believe and what we practice. So, some of the importance of research ethics that you should always remember are listed below. See, now that we understand what ethics means, let us move to a very important question. Why is research ethics so important? See, research ethics is not a formal requirement. It is the foundation that protects the purpose, credibility, and social value of research. Let us examine this in depth. Point one suggests promotes the aims of research. So, how does it do? The fundamental aim of research is to generate knowledge, not assumptions, not manipulated conclusions, not biased interpretations, but truth, just truth. So, science advances only when knowledge is accurate, reliable, and verifiable. So, research ethics actually ensures data is reported honestly, results are interpreted objectively, errors are acknowledged transparently. So the next point suggests it promotes the value that are essential to collaborative work because trust, accountability, mutual respect, and fairness. Modern research is rarely individual, it is actually collaborative. It involves co authors, it involves institutions, funding agencies, peer reviewers, and participants also. So, collaboration depends on what? It actually depends on trust. So, if one researcher fabricates the data, the entire team's reputation actually is made to suffer. So, trust means believing that your colleague reported data honestly, believing that credit will be shared fairly, believing that confidentiality will be maintained. So, point number three highlights on help. It helps to ensure that researchers can be held accountable to public. How do you justify this point? It is supported by, actually the research is supported by some public funds, government grants, institutional budgets, and even by some private donors. So when society funds research, researchers become accountable to the society. So ethics ensures transparency. So if a researcher uses public funds, they must actually conduct research responsibly. Also, they should report results honestly. They should focus on using the funds appropriately and avoid the misuse of resources. So, public accountability strengthens democratic trust in science. So, moving on to the next point, we have help to build public support for research. So, how does it do? How does ethics does this? See, public trust determines the future of research, right? So if people believe research is honest and beneficial, they participate in studies. So they start to support funding, they encourage innovation, they trust scientific recommendations. But if scandals occur like fabrication, plagiarism, unethical experiments, public trust declines. Correct. So when trust declines, funding reduces, participation decreases, and policy decisions become skeptical. So, for example, imagine if people do not trust medical research, they may hesitate to accept new treatments or vaccinations. Correct? Am I right? So, ethical research strengthens public confidence. So, the last point suggests it promotes moral and social values. So, research must align with broader moral values. So, it must respect human dignity, it must respect privacy, it must respect autonomy, it must respect justice, it should respect equality. So, social responsibility means research should benefit society, it should avoid causing harm, it should promote sustainable development. See, for example, developing technology that harms the environment without considering consequences is ethically irresponsible. Am I right? So, research must contribute positively to the society. Okay, you should always keep this in mind when you are performing some kind of research activities. So here are some general and basic principles that govern to research. We have uh, listed out the principles like honesty, objectivity, integrity, carefulness, and then we have this openness, respect for intellectual property, and we have confidentiality, respect for colleagues, and non discrimination, along with the social responsibility. So, honesty, talking about the first principle, honesty is the core of all research. So, in research, honesty means reporting data exactly as it is, presenting results truthfully, describing methods clearly and accurately, declaring publication status honestly. So next we have this objectivity. What does objectivity mean? It means avoiding bias at every stage of research. I repeat, objectivity means what? Avoiding the bias at every stage of research process that you carry out. Bias can enter during experimental design, while selecting samples. Bias may enter during data analysis, while interpreting results, even during peer review. So, researchers must strive to remain neutral and evidence based. So, the third principle governs to integrity. So, integrity means consistency between what we say and what we do. Okay, so in research, integrity means keeping promises, honoring agreements, following ethical guidelines, acting sincerely, and being accountable. So imagine if you commit to conducting ethical research, you must follow the commitment even under pressure, whether from deadline, funding agencies, or under the pressure that's given by your supervisors. So integrity actually builds long-term reputation. So a researcher known for integrity will eventually earn what? Will eventually earn trust, will eventually earn collaboration opportunities, and even professional respect. So the fourth principle states about the carefulness. So the carefulness is about responsibility and precision. So research requires accurate documentation, proper data storage, detailed record keeping, and careful analysis. Sometimes even critical self review plays a vital role in carefulness. The fifth principle governs to openness. So openness promotes transparency and collaborations. So sharing data when appropriate, sharing tools and methodologies, being open to constructive criticisms, all these comes under your openness. Then we have respect for intellectual property. This is very much important because it is one of the most critical aspects of academic integrity. See, intellectual property rights, it includes patents, copyrighted materials, published articles, even sometimes unpublished manuscripts, research data, innovative ideas, software codes, methodologies, everything governed to your intellectual property. Next, we have the confidentiality. So, it is about protecting sensitive informations. In research, you may have access to patient records, participant identities, personal files, trade secrets, and many more. So, protecting confidentiality means not sharing private information without authorization. So, always keep this in mind. For example, if you are reviewing a research paper, you cannot discuss its content with others before publication. So, if you are conducting research with human participants, their identity must be protected. So, only confidentiality can build trust. So, keep this in mind. Next, we have the respect for colleagues. So, research is actually a collaborative effort. So, respect for colleague means treating others fairly, acknowledging contributions, providing constructive feedback as and when it is needed. So, the ninth principle governs to non discrimination. See, basically, when we talk about ethical research practice demands fairness, and most importantly, it demands equality. So, researchers must avoid discrimination based on gender, based on race, religion, caste, nationality, or even maybe based on the socio-economic status. So scientific evaluation should depend only on competence, integrity, and contribution. So next, we have social responsibility. So social responsibility extends beyond the laboratories. Researchers must consider the broader impact of their work. They should actually promote social good, prevent harm, support public welfare, protect human rights, and even sometimes ensuring animal welfare comes under this social responsibility. So these are some of the principles that highlight the importance of research ethics. Next, we have a very important terminology called as authorship. So authorship in research actually refers to the process of deciding whose names should appear on a research paper. This all of us are very much familiar with, right? When it comes to authorship, in many cases, research is not done by a single process. Am I right? It is not done by a single process. It evolves through collaboration involving experts, colleagues, supervisors, and sometimes even students. So therefore, it becomes very important to decide fairly who should be listed as an author, who should be listed as a co-author, who should be acknowledged. So authorship is not just about giving credit, it also carries responsibility. So when a person's name appears on a research paper, it means they are accountable for the content of that research. You should remember this. So you should always keep this in mind. So improper authorship practices such as adding someone who did not contribute is called as gift authorship. I think most of you would have heard about this term called as gift authorship. Sometimes the other author might be our friend or might be our colleague. So for time's sake, we'll be adding someone's name who did not even contribute to research. It is not ethically right. It is not at all right. Or sometimes excluding someone who contributed significantly to the research work. All these are unethical. Thus, fair authorship promotes transparency, accountability, and trust in academic work. Next, we are moving into a very important topic called as the plagiarism. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is generally the act of presenting someone else's ideas, someone else's thoughts, words, theories, images, or creative work as your own without acknowledgement. Yes, does anyone have any doubt? If not, can you please mute your mics? Yes, thank you. So, it is the act of presenting someone else's ideas without proper acknowledgement. In simple terms, it is intellectual theft. It is actually a theft. See, plagiarism can include copying text directly from books or article, or paraphrasing someone else's idea without citation, using images, graphs, or data without even giving credits, submitting someone else's work under your name. All these comes under plagiarism. So it may be done intentionally or unintentionally, doesn't matter. But in both case, it is considered unethical. Whether you're doing it with intention or you're not doing it with some intention, unintentionally, by you're taking it mistakenly, even then it is considered to be unethical. See, if a researcher plagiarizes the work of others, it raises serious questions about their integrity and credibility. Am I right? Research depends on what? It depends on the trust. So when plagiarism occurs, what happens? The authenticity of the research becomes doubtful, right? The researcher's professional reputation is damaged. Institutional credibility may also be affected. So plagiarism weakens the foundation of academic scholarship because research is built upon acknowledging previous contributions. This we should always keep in mind when we are developing some kind of research articles and so. So these are some of the ethical guidelines that are suggested to avoid plagiarism. So it suggests when quoting someone's exact words, if you use another person's actual words, whether spoken or written, you must place the words in quotation marks. right? Provide proper citation. In case 2, regarding paraphrasing, what does paraphrasing means? It means rewriting someone else's ideas into your own words. So many people think that changing a few words is enough, but even if the sentence is rewritten, the idea still belongs to the original author. Am I right? The idea is not unique; it's not yours. Then how come you can say that you have followed the research ethics? It's someone else's, so it comes under plagiarism. Therefore, citation is still required. Paraphrasing without citation is also considered to be plagiarism. Remember this. So, third criteria, we have been using or another person's ideas, opinions, or theories. See, even if you do not copy exact words, but you are using someone's concept, someone else's theoretical framework, someone else's interpretation, someone else's opinion, you must give credit. You should remember this. You must give credit. So, ideas are intellectual property, just like written text. So, acknowledging ideas actually strengthens academic honesty. The fourth point suggests when borrowing fact, statistics, or illustrative material, like if you use data, research findings, even charts or graphs, unique statistics, case examples, you must cite the source. It is very much important that you cite the source unless the information is common knowledge. Fine. So, common knowledge actually refers to widely known facts. See, for example, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. This comes under common knowledge. It's actually a widely known fact, right? So India gained independence in 1947. All these does not need citations. It comes under common knowledge. Now we are moving on to the next part of research ethics, that is called as peer review. Most of you would have heard about this term, peer review. What is peer review? It is actually the process in which an author submits a written manuscript or research article to a journal for publication, and the journal editor sends that article to experts in the same field for evaluation. So these experts are called as reviewers. So these experts are called as what? They are called as the reviewers. So the editor acts as the coordinator of the process. After receiving the manuscript, the editor selects qualified reviewers who have subject knowledge and experience related to the research topic. What the reviewer does is, the reviewers will carefully read and evaluate the manuscript. They assess the originality of the research, the quality of the methodology, the accuracy of data analysis, the clarity of presentation, the relevance and contribution that this research has made to this field. Okay. So how does this peer review process is carried out? What are the things that undergoes within this? See, peer review is extremely, and why is it important? See, this peer review process is extremely important because it serves as a quality control mechanism. Am I right? It serves as a quality control mechanism in what? In academic publications, publishing activities. It ensures that research is scientifically sound, results are reliable, methods are appropriate, conclusions are also justified. So, without peer review, inaccurate or poorly conducted research could easily be published, which may mislead other researchers and society. Am I right? So, hence, we say that peer review also helps authors improve their work, right? Reviewers often provide constructive suggestions that strengthen clarity, methodology, and analysis. Most importantly, peer review protects the integrity and credibility of scientific literature. Hence, we say that peer review process is one of the most important and authorized process that should be carried out in the research process to maintain research ethics. Fine. So these are some of the guidelines that are provided in order to uplift your peer reviewing process. Now, there are certain characters that binge into our research process, like animals or sometimes even human beings. See, what is the role of animals in research? See, animals plays a significant role in scientific and medical research. For many years, animal studies have helped researchers understand disease mechanisms, drug effectiveness, biological processes, surgical techniques, right? So, animal research has contributed to major medical advancements, including vaccines, antibiotics, and life saving surgical procedures. So, now let us understand their use more specifically. See, when it comes to testing new pharmaceuticals, before a new drug is tested on human, it must first be evaluated for safety and effectiveness. Hence, animal study help researchers determine possible side effects, toxicity levels, safe dosage ranges, and biological impact. So, hence, we say that this stage is crucial to prevent harm to human participants. In that case, we make use of animals for research. And next, as teaching tools for medical students. See, sometimes animals are used in medical education to help students understand the anatomy, physiology, and surgical techniques. However, many institutions now increasingly use simulations and digital models to reduce animal use. So this is being in practice nowadays. Many institutions, they opt simulations and digital models in order to reduce animal usage. So the third one says that as experimental subjects for new surgical procedures. Right? See, before new surgical methods are applied to humans, they are often tested on animals to evaluate safety and technical effectiveness. So, this ensures that procedures are refined and risks are minimized before human trials. Fine. There are certain ethical guidelines that you should adhere to when you are making use of animals in your research project or process. See, any research project involving animals must undergo ethical review and approval. So, this is the mandatory step that you should focus. Institutions establish animal ethics committees to even evaluate whether animal use is necessary, whether the number of animals is minimized, whether pain and sufferings are reduced for animals, whether proper care and housing are provided to animals in such cases. Okay, so these are some of the guidelines that are provided when the research makes use of animals. And moving on to the next, we have the human subject, right? When we talk about research involving human participants, three major ethical principles guide our actions. See, respect for persons, privacy and confidentiality, risk benefit analysis, and beneficence. Let us understand each one of them clearly. See, respect for persons. What does it mean? It is called as the informed consent. Respect for persons is one of the most fundamental principles in human research ethics. It means recognizing that every individual has autonomy, right? The right to make their own decision. Am I right? Every individual has the right to make their own decision. So, in research, this principle is practiced through informed consent. Informed consent, what do you mean by this informed consent? It involves voluntary participation, clear explanation of the study, and understanding what participation entails, and awareness of the potential risks and benefits that this research might cause to that human. The right to withdraw at any time. See, the person who is involved in this research process has the right to withdraw at any time. Okay. Next, we have the privacy and confidentiality. Another essential principle is protecting participants' privacy and confidentiality. Am I right? So, people have the right to protect personal information about themselves. So, during research, participants may share, they might share their medical history, personal experiences, financial details, psychological information, and even sometimes sensitive opinions. So, if such information is described without protection, it may cause, it may cause emotional harm. Even it might cause social stigma, financial consequences, and damage to reputation. So, you should always focus on preserving or protecting the privacy and the confidentiality of the human or the person who is involved in the research. Last, we should focus on the risk benefit and the beneficence. uh, See, before starting a study, researchers must conduct a risk benefit analysis. They must ask, what are the possible risks that I have? How severe are these risks? Can they be minimized? What benefits will the research bring? See, under biomedical research, for example, study diseases and health data with the goal of discovering treatments that can help future patients. However, while aiming to help society, researchers must ensure that current participants are not exposed to unnecessary harm. It is very, very important. So, these are some of the ethical guidelines that you should follow when humans are involved in your research process. One important thing that we have to discuss about is the research misconduct. See, when we discuss research ethics, we must also speak about what happens when ethics are not are violated. Okay, what happens when these ethics are violated? So this brings us to the concept of research misconduct. So what is research misconduct means? So it refers to the process of identifying and reporting unethical or unsound practices. See, there are three terms like fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism, right? These are often abbreviated as FFP, and they form the core of research misconduct. When you talk about the research misconduct, we have fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. This can be annotated as FFP. Okay, see, let us understand them clearly. Fabrication means making up data or results that never actually occurred. That means you are creating a duplicate data. For example, imagine inventing survey responses without conducting the survey. How bad is this, right? This is totally unethical. Next, we have falsification. What does it mean? It means manipulating research materials, equipment, processes, or altering data in a way that misrepresents the research findings. See, for instance, removing unwanted data points to make results look significant, right? So you might remove some unwanted data points. Only then, you can make your results look more polished. You can get your desired results. So for this purpose, you might do this kind of falsification, which is totally unethical. And plagiarism, we already had some knowledge on it. We already had put some light to it. It means what? It means using someone else's ideas, words, or work without even proper acknowledgement. Okay, see, research misconduct can occur at any stage, like even during proposal writing, during data collection, during analysis, during peer review, or even during your publication. So these are some of the ethical guidelines that are need to be focused in order to avoid ethical misconduct in your research, right? See, why do you think reporting misconduct matters? Because identifying and reporting unethical research practices is essential. Why it is essential? Because it is essential to maintain transparency, accountability, academic credibility, and even public confidence, right? So, you should always focus on conducting a full scale investigation. Finally, the institution uses the information collected during the full scale investigation to make decision concerning the presence of misconduct. Fine. So these are some of the ethical guidelines that you should remember when you are encountering ethical misconduct. So we are nearing to the conclusion. Now we are speaking about the research ethics in India. So research ethics in India is actually governed through structured guidelines and institutional mechanisms to ensure responsible and ethical conduct of research. See, in India, ethical oversight of research mostly occurs at the local and institutional levels only. Right? We have different governing bodies such as ICMR, CIOMS, and REC that monitors research ethics and credibility in India. Talking about ICMR, we all know it is the Indian Council of Medical Research. It is the apex body responsible for promoting ethical standards in biomedical research in India. So, earlier in the year 2000, ICMR released the document titled Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical Research. So, these guidelines actually provide ethical principles for research involving human participants, various standards for informed consent, risk benefit assessment frameworks, and many such. Next, we have the governing body called as CIOMS, the Council for International Organization of Medical Sciences. So, this has laid down internationally accepted ethical principles, especially for biomedical research. So, these guidelines help align Indian research practices with global ethical standards. And last, we have this REC. In India, any it is abbreviated as Research Ethics Committees, REC, Research Ethics Committees. In India, any research involving human subjects must be reviewed and it should be priorly approved by a research ethics committee at the institution where the research is proposed. It is very, very, very important. So the REC is responsible for reviewing research protocols, evaluating ethical risks, ensuring participant safety, and also monitoring compliances. So these are some of the activities of REC. Fine. So to officially conclude, we have this very famous saying by Pellegrino, a well-known biomedical ethicist. So he stated that when no one is watching, please read it again. When no one is watching, it is the character of the investigator that determines the moral quality or research. And if research integrity is problematic, we must start and end with the investigator, right? See, if you were a research participant, would you want your data misused? Would you want your privacy violated? Would you even want researchers to hide risks from you? No. Am I right? So, research ethics is not just about avoiding misconduct, following guidelines, obtaining approvals. It is about building a culture of trust, right? So, it is about safeguarding human dignity. It is about ensuring that knowledge generation remains truthful and socially responsible. So, when integrity lives with a researcher, science flourishes, right? Am I right? So, when integrity collapses, what happens? Science will eventually collapse. So, remember this. So, as researchers, as scholars, and as educators, let us remember ethics begins not in the laboratory, not even in the journal, not in the ethics committee. Ethics begins within us. I repeat, ethics begin within us. Thank you. Thank you for the session.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing valuable insights to us. Now it's time for photo session. I request everyone to switch on your camera. Thank you all for your cooperation. Now we move on to the doubt clearing session where participants can freely ask questions and get clarification from the resource person. Please feel free to clarify your doubts.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening.
Ma'am, what are the challenges arise in maintaining research ethics, ma'am?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What challenges arise in maintaining research ethics?
Okay, we have plenty of challenges that we need to focus when it is concerned in maintaining the research ethics. See, as we discussed earlier, there are certain things that you should remember. See, maintaining research ethics is not about following rules, right? It is about sustaining integrity, responsibility, and accountability throughout the research cycle. However, these researchers often face several practical, institutional, and personal challenges in upholding ethical standards. See, pressure to publish, right? One of the most significant challenges is intense academic pressure that has been put to publish frequently. Am I right? We are forced to publish frequently as researchers, as academicians. So, this is one of the pressures that we actually have to undergo when concerned with maintaining your ethics in research. Then we come across this FFP, data fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. Why do we actually do this? Why do we actually get tempted to this? Because we need results. We need good quality, accurate results. For that purpose, at sometimes we are been put to pressure. We have been, forced to fabricate the data. So these are, I think, these are some of the challenges in maintaining the research ethics. And sometimes even conflicts of interest plays a vital role. See, researchers may receive funding from industries or organizations with vested interests. So this creates challenges such as biased reporting of findings, suppression of negative results, influence on study design, right? So maintaining research ethics requires continuous vigilance, institutional support, transparent policies, and even strong moral commitment from the researchers. So the major challenges stem from publication pressure, technological complexity, funding influences, and a global collaboration dynamics also.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, what ethical dilemmas do researchers commonly encounter, ma'am?
Sorry, what ethical?
What ethical dilemmas do researchers commonly encounter?
Okay, so you want me to list down the dilemmas that researchers commonly encounter? Yes, am I right? Yes, I think the question goes, what ethical dilemmas do researchers commonly encounter? See, as researchers, researchers frequently encounter ethical dilemmas, maybe the situations where competing values, for example, scientific progress versus the participant protection. See, informed consent versus research validities. Sometimes, fully informing participants about the study purpose may influence their behavior and compromise their results, right? For example, psychological experiments. Dilemma like, should researchers use partial disclosure or deception to obtain valid data, or they should prioritize complete transparency even if it affects findings. And I think the next important dilemma is use of deception in research. See, in behavioral and social science based studies, deception may be used to prevent biased responses. So the dilemma comes this way, like, is it ethically acceptable to mislead participants temporarily for scientific benefit? Hence, I think researchers must balance scientific accuracy, psychological risks, and also they should follow proper debriefing afterwards. And one more dilemma I can add on to it is the confidentiality versus the duty to report. See, participants may disclose sensitive information such as illegal activity, abuse, or self harm. The dilemma goes this way, like, should the researcher maintain confidentiality or report the issue to authorities to prevent from harm? I think these are some of the dilemmas, you know, that the researchers commonly encounter. Sometimes even, authorship acts as a dilemma. Like, if it is a collaborative research, imagine if it's a collaborative research, disagreements often arise about, right? Disagreements like who qualifies as an author, order of authorship, contribution recognition. So, like, I might come across a dilemma like, should a senior researcher be included as an author even with minimal contributions? Right. So these are some of very major dilemmas that researchers encounter commonly.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other doubts?
Thank you, ma'am, for the clear and interactive outline session. Next, I invite Ms. Priya, second MCOM, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Esteemed dignitaries, faculty members, and dear students, a very good evening to all. It's my great honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks as we conclude day 4 of the workshop on enhancing research skills. As Albert Einstein wisely said, the important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Guided by this thought, today's session has truly stimulated our curiosity and enriched our research outlook. At the outset, we bow in reverence to the Almighty for His abundant blessings that enable the smooth and successful organization of today's academic program. It's my proud privilege to express our sincere appreciation to our distinguished resource person, Ms. Jerome, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. Ma'am, your engaging presentation, practical orientation, and insightful deliberation have greatly enhanced our understanding of research methodologies and contemporary research advancements. We are truly grateful for your time, expertise, and inspiring presence. We extend our heartfelt thanks to our Secretary, Reverend Dr. Sister Ignatius Mary, for her inspiring vision and continuous encouragement in fostering a vibrant research culture within our institution. Our deep appreciation to our Principal, Dr. Sister M. Fatima Mary, for her guidance and unwavering support in promoting academic excellence. We also express our sincere gratitude to our Vice Principal, Sister Arul Mary, and Mrs. Vidya of Shift 1, and Sister Bindu Antony and Mrs. Nicola Raghavan of Shift 2 for their constant motivation and commitment to institutional growth. We convey our sincere thanks to our head of the department, Dr. S. Fatima Roslyn Mary, for her systematic planning and dedicated efforts in organizing this workshop effectively. I wholeheartedly acknowledge the contribution of all the faculty members whose cooperation and guidance have been instrumental in making today's session a success. We also place on record our special appreciation to LKP Academy for their valuable collaboration and support for this program. My sincere thanks to all the students for their attentive listening, thoughtful interaction, and active participation, which added energy and meaning to today's proceedings. As we conclude, I gratefully acknowledge the collective efforts of everyone whose support and commitment made this session both productive and memorable. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Priya, for your gratitude and appreciation for the participants. As we come to the conclusion of this session, I would like to thank all the participants for their support and active involvement in making today's online workshop a great success. Thank you, one and all.